welcome back to my channel. Today I'm so excited to be talking about month 3 of the Flower Stand block of the month. Today we're going to go over the block 5, and I actually dressed a little festive this time because our block is a sunflower block. But first I wanted to just show you really quick where it is in the quilt so that you can see, and then I wanted to show you my block, and then I thought we'd go ahead and get started. Okay, so here is my Flower Stand quilt, the beautiful Flower Stand quilt, and I am going to open it up and show you exactly where block 5 is. So block 5 is on the second row right here. So there is the cute little sunflower block. There's 2 of them. One is taller and one is smaller. So we're going to make that today. But I thought I'd show you really quick my block. Here is my block 5. It is so darling. I love using all these yellows from the Flower Girl collection. Super cute. Again, I thought I would dress in something sunflowers to represent this adorable block. So go ahead and pull out that month 3 flower pack, rip it open, and let's go ahead and get started. You will need your pattern for this tutorial. Okay, I'm gonna go to my top camera and then we'll get started on the tutorial. Okay, first I wanted to show you the quilt from the top camera so that you can see the blocks we will be working on today. So we will be making block 5. And block 5 is right here in the quilt. These 2 little adorable sunflowers just right here. They are so cute. They add just something extra to the quilt. I love these blocks so much. This block actually goes together fairly quickly because you're basically making the same block twice. Just a little bit of difference in these leaf and stem units, but the sunflower is the exact same. You can just change your placement of your little petals here. So let's go ahead and get started, and we will knock this block out. Okay, so I have my pieces all cut out and labeled on my design board using my little alphabet markers that came in month 1. I do this to stay organized. Also, I went ahead and made one of the blocks or one of the flowers just to speed up the tutorial a little bit. When I get going, I can have one done. And you will need your month 3 flower pack to make this block 5. So go ahead and pull out your pattern out of your month 3 flower pack. Here's our pattern. This tutorial we will be making block 5. Our next tutorial we'll be making block 6. So let's go ahead and get started on block 5. Okay, for block 5, step 1, we're going to be drawing a diagonal line on the back of our fabric H squares, our fabric I squares, and our fabric K squares. Where's K? Here's K. So, you know, I say this all the time. I don't actually draw a diagonal line because I use diagonal seam tape. So pick this stuff up if you want to not have to draw diagonal lines. It's great. I put this on my machine and I align this red line in the middle up to the diagonal corners of my pieces. So anyways. All right, let's move on to step 2. So for step 2, we need 1 fabric J rectangle. So 1 fabric J rectangle, 2 fabric I squares. What we're going to do is we are going to assemble on our diagonal line. So if this was a drawn line, you'd assemble on the diagonal line. I'm just going to align the red line up on my diagonal seam tape with this diagonal. What we're going to do first is we are going to assemble fabric I to fabric J. After that, we are going to press and then assemble our other fabric I to the right corner. So I'm going to go ahead and do that and I will be right back. Okay, I just got done with step 2 and here is my J unit. Now, I haven't trimmed up the little excess yet. So sometimes when I do these stitch and flip corners or snowballed corners, I do have a little sliver that I do or should cut off just to make it straight, and when I'm sewing them all together, there's, you know, it's not getting wonky or crooked or anything. But I wanted to point out something before you trim this. So you will need to make sure you do have a 1/4 inch seam from that top point right there to the top of your fabric. So when you are trimming these off, just be aware that you need that because you want these points right here to stay like little sunflower points on this block, so when you do attach your other pieces that you don't cut off your points. So I'm going to go ahead and trim this and I will be right back. Okay, I just finished trimming this J unit and I wanted to show you my little trimmings. Here are my little trimmings right here. And some of you might think that that is unnecessary to trim off, but I actually really enjoy trimming and making sure my pieces actually measure what they're supposed to. Every little bit of fabric that you don't cut off just adds every little bit to your seam. So before, I used to not really measure or cut my pieces, and my blocks would be the wrong size. They would be too small, too big, not straight. My seams wouldn't be straight. And I found that just measuring after each time you assemble a piece, using the measurements in my pattern, I have them after every single step, you should be fine. But just go ahead and trim that little bit off. Just clean it up. If anything else, just clean up those pieces. Okay, so I have my first J unit. Now you are gonna make a lot of these. You have 6 times 4, 24 of these to make. So make one in each print, and I already did that here. Again, I already did all of them for this flower. I went ahead and made them for all of them. So what we're going to do next is we are going to assemble for step 3. We are going to assemble 3 J units. So go ahead and arrange. I would arrange on your design board first. You can either do the coloring that I have in the pattern, but I would arrange on your design board just so that you're not having 2 next to each other, or maybe these 2 being the same. So arrange them on the design board or follow my pattern and go ahead and pick 3 out, and we are going to assemble these together. All we're doing is we want to make sure that these are nesting perfectly. So right here, you want to make sure that you are nested when you have a 1/4 inch seam. Let's see if you can see that. So what I usually do is I will sew just about 6 stitches right over that where I want it to nest perfectly before I sew my entire seam, just to make sure, so then I'm not having to pick out all the stitches. So that's kind of a trick I do. So you're gonna go ahead and assemble those, and I already did that. So here is what it should look like right here. So this is what your unit should look like. I'm fairly pleased, yes, fairly pleased with how those line up here and here. Now I wanted to show you a trick really quick. If you are struggling with getting your seams to match up right there and there, a trick is, if you know that this square was 1 inch, when you are trimming it up, make sure that corner is at the 1 inch mark and this corner is at the 1 inch mark. If it's not, then it's not going to line up perfectly. That's just something I learned as well after doing a ton of these type of quilts and blocks. That's just a trick I use. And if it's longer or not, I usually will remake the block or remake the unit. So go ahead and do that, and you will have your petal unit. So you're going to make 8 petal units for step 3. So again, I already made 1, 2, I made 4, 5, 6, 7, and I will make 8. Okay, so let's go ahead and move on to step 4. So we're going to set those aside here, and I will stitch this up when I get back to the machine. Okay, so now let's go ahead and move on to step 4. So for step 4, we need our fabric L square, and we need our 4 fabric K squares. And all we're doing for this is positioning all of our fabric K squares on the corners, on the corner of our fabric L square. And you're going to assemble on the diagonal line. Now you want to be paying close attention, so I'll show you. So if this is going to be my top, you kind of want to mark these. You don't want 2 of the same fabrics to be next to each other. So what you're going to do is you're really going to go ahead and decide your placement right now with this. So this looks pretty good. None of these are the same fabrics here. I went ahead and already assembled that so I could see, but you see how none of these fabrics are the same, touching these corners. None of them are touching. So that's what you want to make sure that you are doing. So I'm going to go ahead and go over to my machine and assemble this, and I will be right back. Okay, I just finished with step 4. So here we have my step 4. So let's see, let's go ahead and move to step 5. Okay, we're going to set up our step 5. So it's going to look like this. So for step 5, we need 4 fabric B. Those are going to be up here, like this, and you need your 4 petal units, so your petal units, and then 1 L unit. Okay, so what we do with this step is we are simply assembling the rows. So what we are going to do is assemble our fabric B to our petal unit first. Then assemble our left petal unit to our L unit, and again down here, the fabric B to our petal unit. We're going to press in towards the petal units, out towards the petal units right there. Then we're going to assemble fabric B, our petal unit, and fabric B. After we have done that, we are going to assemble all 3 rows together. So what that should look like is it should look like this, right here, right here. So this is your flower unit. I'm gonna go ahead and assemble my flower unit. So now I'll have 2 and I will be right back. Okay, I just finished up my flower unit and I went ahead and trimmed off the excess. Now again, when you are trimming off the excess, you wanna make sure that you're not cutting more than 1/4 inch away from those points, so that when you do assemble the flowers together or the block together, you aren't cutting off your points. Now sometimes that's inevitable. Sometimes that does happen when you're sewing, but just if you go ahead and make sure that your points are gonna work out right now, the probability of them actually working out is going to be good. So here are my flower units. I think these are so adorable, so cute little sunflowers. Okay, so now let's go ahead and move on to step 6. So I'm gonna set these cuties to the side here. Okay, for step 6, we need our fabric M squares. So here I have fabric M. So we are going to be doing how we've been doing the left and the right. So we will have a left M and an RM. And obviously you can see these are in 2 different fabrics, so they will belong to 2 different flowers. So all we're doing right here is we are taking our fabric H squares. For the left unit, so for the LM unit, we are going to assemble our fabric H at the top right and bottom left, just like this, if I could get them to work. So you're going to do that to this one as well. Now for the right M unit, so RM, you are doing the opposite, so the upper left and bottom right. So I'm going to go ahead and make these LM and RM units, and when I get back we'll move on to step 7 and we will start putting these stems together. Okay, I just finished up with step 6. So here, let's go ahead and lay these back out so they're correct, and I probably should press that back out right there. It got a little smushed. So here we have our LM and our RM. So left M unit, right M unit. Okay, so let's move on to step 7. So now we're going to put some stems together. So I'm going to lay these to the side. Okay, for step 7, we're making the small stem unit. So the small stem unit uses this color. So I'm going to push that away. So you need 2 fabric D rectangles. So let's get our Ds. 2 fabric D. We need 2 fabric G. And our fabric O, matching O. You want to make sure it matches. So here is what I have. So we're going to go ahead and lay this out. So fabric D on top of our LM unit, and fabric D on the bottom of our RM unit, and then fabric G. So this is what it should look like. So there are a couple different steps within step 7. So you'll see the arrows, the black arrows with a number. That is what I use to indicate pressing direction, as well as, whoop, that's got a cut in it, as well as order of assembly. Order of assembly. So you'll see we have a 1. So for step 1, we are assembling fabric D to our LM unit, so these 2. And then step 2, we are assembling our fabric G to those 2 units. For step 3, we're assembling our fabric O. And then for step 4, we are assembling our D to our RM, again with our fabric G, and then completing it together. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and then when I return, we will have completed our small stem unit. Okay, I just got done with step 7, so here is my small stem unit. Super cute. I love it. I love it so much. Okay, let's move on to step 8. So for step 8, it is literally the exact same thing with different pieces. So we do need our LM and our RM units. We need 2 fabric Ds. So 2 fabric Ds, and I'm going to recut this piece because sometimes I overcut on my fabric and look what happened. So I will recut that in a little bit. So we also need fabric A square. This will go on the bottom here. We need our fabric in, and then we need our 2 fabric Fs. So just like the last one, we are going to follow the instructions on the pressing numbers. So we are going to assemble fabric D to LM, then we're going to assemble our fabric F. Okay, then we're going to assemble our fabric N, then we're going to assemble our fabric A to RM and fabric F, and then again together. Simple, super simple. The way I look at it, if you are ever working on a pattern and it does not show that and you're like, okay, what goes together? Think about what can't go on until something has been sewn together. So for instance, if these pieces right here are not sewn together, you can't sew this together. You can't even sew that together. This, because then you have a gap here. So these have to be sewn together before you can sew that together. So that's the way I look at it when I look at a pattern. I'll even write a little arrow with a number on other patterns that I do if they do not show those things. Sometimes you get a pattern where it just shows the block together and it doesn't really have any instructions, so that's how I break it down. So I'm going to go ahead and assemble this big stem unit, and when I get back, we're going to be assembling this block together. So exciting! I really love when my design board looks like this with all the pieces already gone. So much fun. Okay, I just finished up with my Step 8 big stem unit. Okay, looks so cute. Don't forget to trim it, trim off all your excess that you have. So let's go ahead and start assembling this together. So for step 9, we need our small stem unit, one of our flower units, and fabric C. So what we're gonna do is assemble fabric C to the top, and then assemble that to the small stem unit. Okay, I'm going to also move on to step 10 because it is literally doing the same thing. So we're going to need our big stem unit, and we're going to need our other flower unit. So I'm going to go ahead and assemble those, and when I get back, we're going to do step 11, and we're going to get this block all assembled. One thing I did want to mention is you want to make sure that when you are assembling, so this is kind of important that I should have mentioned and didn't, but now I am. So you want to make sure when you are assembling the stem unit to the flower unit that you align as much as possible that center point to the middle of the stem here on both blocks. If you don't, it's going to be a little off, and that might bug you. That would probably bug me, but try your hardest. So what I would do, I would go ahead, I'm going to show you exactly what I do. I would go ahead, sometimes, you know, you can just line up your edges and sew along, but that's not always the case for me. So I will line up my edges here. I will flip that down to about 1/4 inch, and I will look. That's actually pretty darn good. Let me see if I can bring it up. So that's pretty darn good. Oh, here we go. Pretty darn good. So that's what I do, and then I will stitch just right there to secure that point. I will flip it up and look at it, and then I will decide yes or no. If it's a no, I take the 6 stitches out. If it's a yes, I then will start to sew from here and then down again. So that is what I am going to do to get that to be lined up in the center. So I'm going to go ahead and assemble those, and I'll be right back. Okay, here are my adorable little flower units. So the small flower unit and the big flower unit. So again, I did step 9 and step 10, so 9 and 10 in one. So for the final step, step 11, we are just assembling our fabric E rectangles. So we have 2 fabric E rectangles. One will go on the outside of the big stem unit, so just pay close attention. And then one will go in the middle. There will be nothing to go on this side. It is just this side and this side. So I'm going to go ahead and assemble those together, and I will be right back. Okay, are you ready to see my final block 5? Oh, it is so darling. Oh, so cute. I love this block. I know I say that about all of the blocks, but I truly do. I really love how they are small, they're cute. I think them being small just adds more cuteness to them. They're so darling and so sweet. I just love flowers so much. So I know you guys probably know that I just love flowers. So anytime I get to make a flower quilt or design one, I'm all over it. But I think this is just so cute, and it's a great use of all those yellows in the collection, and it's different from the other flowers. That's what I really like about this one. This one only uses yellows and greens, well, and a tan for the middle, but it doesn't use any pinks or peaches or anything like that, and so it really does stand out in the quilt. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed making this block. I hope you're having a lot of fun with it. Again, I would just go slow with these just to make sure that you're not cutting off your points, and just have fun with it. So I'm gonna go to the front camera to say bye, but again, I hope you enjoy making this adorable block 5. Okay, so we just got done making this cute little sunflower block. This is block 5 of the Flower Stand Block of the Month. I just think it turned out so cute, and I hope yours turns out cute too, and that you enjoy making it. I know I did. I think this month was a little bit easier than the previous months, but I love it so much. If you're quilting along, don't forget to use our special hashtag for the block of the month. It is hashtag FlowerStandBOM. So hashtag FlowerStandBOM on all social media channels. Don't forget to tag me at mysoquiltylife.com so I can see your blocks and I can share them to my stories and on my social media so everybody can see them. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to this video, and maybe share with a friend that you're enjoying this Flower Stand Block of the Month. I think this block is super cute, and I'm so excited to move on to block 6. So stay tuned to block 6, and I'll see you next time. Bye, guys!